Studying abroad is not just about academia, jobs, and careers, but much more, like being independent, personality development, making friends globally, learning about different cultures, traveling, and many more enriching, unforgettable experiences. Hook on to our episodes of Student Spotlight and get fruitful insights about our students who share their beautiful journeys with you. In today's episode, we are delighted to feature Danish, originally from Mumbai but now residing in London since secondary school. Danish is currently pursuing his undergraduate degree in Finance and Management at Loughborough University. Alongside his academic pursuits, he actively manages the administration for the Indian Society at the university. With a placement year integrated into his course, Danish aims to gain valuable experience in the corporate world. Join us as we get into Danish's student journey, explore his experiences, challenges, and aspirations for the future.
I started my schooling in India, in Mumbai, more specifically at Royal International School. And then I did my primary there until the 5th standard. And then 6th, we had to move from India to the UK because my dad here he was working here since a long time. So it was the right thing to do that time. And since also I was, my family, my mom more specifically, was looking for a better sort of education-wise opportunities, and so UK was the best thing to do at that time. And so we came here, and then I started my GCSEs here. Got pretty decent grades because of COVID. We couldn't set the exams, but A-levels I did here as well. Got decent grades. I studied economics, business studies, and sports science. I got 2 A stars and an A.
Good. Tell me, what universities did you apply to?
I applied to University of York, Cardiff, Loughborough, and Nottingham.
Okay, right. And why did you choose Loughborough?
It's an interesting story, right? Because during my time at my school at GCSEs, one of my teachers said that no one's been to Loughborough University from our school in the how many years. And because I was one of a good students in sports science because of my keen interest at that time, I said that I'll make my way to Loughborough University. Because during my early days of finding universities, I was quite interested in sports science because I was heavily involved in sort of sports at that time, right? Mm-hmm. And then what happened was that my interest sort of developed, it changed after studying business. So I was more inclined in business. And so I said, why not just combine business and sports studies at the same time? So initially I looked at a course for business management and sports science at Loughborough. And as that challenge, I stuck with Loughborough as my first choice. And I said, business is just too vast for me. Let me just specialize in something, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, I'll do finance at Loughborough University, which was a challenge for me to get into.
Okay.
More so because I was actually required higher grades to get into Loughborough than usual students.
Okay.
I did 2 BTECs, and so I was required A star, A star, A
Okay.
for my course.
Okay.
The usual requirement is A, B or ABB. Mm-hmm. But I was required A star, A star, A. So that was a challenge in itself for me. And so I think because of that, I'm in Loughborough University, and it's the best choice ever.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Tell me a bit more about your course. What all have you studied? You're in year 2 and you're doing a placement year as well. Yeah. So could you brief me about what you have studied and what is there for your final year?
So I do finance at Loughborough, and during the first year, it was more about sort of introductory modules and the foundations and basic principles of, you got economics, you got introduction to finance, and then you got sort of behavioral modules in management. And so the aim was that basically to get everyone on the same page for the second year. And second year is when the course actually begins for us. I think it's for everyone, and second year for finance is more about, sort of corporate issues. You got company law, you've got portfolio management, you've got economics in the financial system, you've got accounts, you've got a lot of sort of investment banking style modules, mm-hmm. where you have sort of valuations, you have to value stocks, you do performance appraisals for firms. And I think it's quite interesting if anyone's looking to do finance. So.
Okay, nice. How's your classroom like? What's the mix?
We've got more than usual students. We've got about 300, 400 students doing finance. So it's quite popular, right, because of UK mm-hmm. finance hub. So.
Okay, and are there a lot of Indians?
Surprisingly, yes, there are a lot of Indians, but the ratio is quite mixed because we are mixed between accounting finance and finance management.
Okay.
So when the two come together, then I think you have a lot of Indians, well, 30% okay. Indians.
Oh, okay, nice.
Tell me more about the placement year. Why did you choose it, and what exactly happens during that year?
So placement year is when you study 2 years in your university. 1 year you have the opportunity to go and work somewhere else or do a study abroad, go in foreign universities to study there. And I think it's a really useful thing, and it's the reason why I chose it was that just to get experience in the corporate field exactly. Because in finance, what happened is not many people look for qualifications; they look for experience in finance. Because a lot of numbers and issues, and you're talking to people a lot more. And so I think how it works with us is that you do second years, and then towards the beginning of your second year, you apply to firms and start you're applying to. And then for the top league, the big four, you've got Goldman Sachs and all that stuff. You start applying to in early August. So before actually starting your second year, you start applying to them.
Okay.
Yeah, they sort of get back to you by December-ish. So long process, right? Screening and all that.
Okay. So have you already secured placements
I have 2 offers. They are not
in UK?
not in UK.
Okay.
In India.
Okay.
And in UK, I'm still looking to apply. I have interviews lined up, final interviews lined up.
Okay.
So hopefully I get in UK as well.
Right. So, given a choice, would you want to go back work for a year in India and come back, or you still want to work here?
Given a choice, I would say I would prefer going back to India because
Okay.
I have experience in the Indian market for
Okay.
working in finance and consulting
Right.
because of my summer internships.
Okay.
I did summer internships after my first year,
Okay.
which was I think really helpful because it gave me a step into the industry of what it's like working. And I think towards working for finance, I developed a sort of I think for consulting as well. If I look back now, I did an internship in development consulting, which was really useful for me.
Okay.
And so I think I'm looking to continue that in my placement. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. How is the life here at Loughborough? Right. So, how? Tell me about your budgeting. Where do you live? What happens? You cook.
Right. I'll start with life at Loughborough. It's one of the most sociable uni in the UK, and I think it's a fantastic choice for if you're extrovert or looking to become more extrovert, right? Because there are certain times where we may not be extrovert, but we are pushed to become extroverts, right? And that's what I think the world needs out there.
Yes.
And so what I found myself was that where I was not required to be extrovert, I was actually extrovert there. And that helped me a lot because, it connects you with more people, right? If you get to know more people, you're more out there, you're working with leadership teams of union, let's say, for example. And in terms of my accommodations, I've lived both here on campus. I think it's a good choice for someone to, make new friends, get to know more people. And I'm catered as well, which means that the food I get is provided by the university, so in canteens and stuff. And I think it's a good choice if anyone wants to sort of, take the mind off cooking, focus more on studies or sports, and they can just go canteen, have food, come back.
Right. So, how much do you spend, like, with your accommodation, which also includes catering, and what kind of a setup do you have?
Spending in terms of accommodation is done through SFEs. So Student Finance England, they provide me with fees for my accommodations, which I think is available for only home students. And in terms of spending, I usually spend less because Loughborough is not a very expensive town, right? So you don't need to spend a lot more compared to London or other cities. And so monthly average is about, I think, £25. Not £25, but £50 monthly if I'm not going out.
Okay. Oh, all right. So there's no much expense even otherwise, right?
Not much expense here.
Because your food is taken care of.
Food is covered, yes.
Okay, nice. Any other thing that you're involved in apart from studies?
So I'm involved in Indian society as my sort of kick to leadership roles, and I was a part of the badminton squad until last year. I had to drop that because I want to focus more on sort of studies and stuff.
So is it your studies getting intense year 2 onwards?
Year 2 onwards, yes. But what I also found was that my first year wasn't too great as much as I was expecting because I sort of slacked.
Say if you were to go back in time and change anything about your studies or your decision to come to this university or anything else, would that be anything you'd change?
I think I would change the fact that I didn't choose specific subjects for my A levels, which was, I think, maths would have been a good choice for me, especially going in finance, right? Because I was quite comfortable with financial maths at that time, and so even looking at prospects and speaking to students, the maths that was required, I was quite comfortable with. because of my experience in business field prior to that as well. Because my mum being heavily involved in business, I was constantly looking at numbers and charts and stuff. So that was quite comfortable to me. But the decision to take maths, I think I would say, was one thing I'd change, because it exposed me to even more sort of prospects within the financial system, right? So.
Okay. And I think with your grades that you had, would you be able to apply to universities like Oxford, Cambridge, or they have like King's, or do they have like higher requirement?
Yeah, so the grades I got at A levels were A star, A star, A.
Okay.
But I had to be tech, so they had to be sort of top of the game at that time.
Right.
I could have applied to Oxford and Cambridge, and it's a funny story because one of my friends who applied there also said that there was no reason why you didn't apply to Oxford and Cambridge.
Right.
I said no, I didn't have maths, but he said that's only one downside, that you didn't have maths, but because my personal statement, my academic history, my extracurriculars was, I think, really good at that time. And
Okay.
so my advisor said that I could have applied there, but because of maths, I couldn't.
I get it. Okay, no worries. If you were to give any advice to our students who are applying for finance, or particularly Loughborough, what would that be?
I think if you're looking for finance, then top 10 universities in the UK, I think Loughborough is number 6th. So I think you should go for Loughborough. If you're looking for more of a sociable university as well, because London universities, I'm not sure if they're more sociable or not, but they're extremely intense in terms of studies. And Loughborough, I think I've found that it's a great balance between both like intense studies, but also having a lot of fun and with sociable life.
Okay.
And so the lectures we get here are excellent. One of our lecturers is also a board of advisors for Bank of England.
Okay.
And so also speaking to them about all those prospects and what they think that economies be like, and they advise a lot of good stuff. So I think,
Okay, so you've got a good teaching panel too.
yeah.
That's nice. Can you brief a little bit about the campus? Looks like a massive campus.
Sure.
We got lost, driving here.
Yeah. We have one of the biggest campus in the UK, and where we are currently right now is the engineering school, more of architecture building, and this is the part where there's more of sort of engineering schools, computer science, and then biomed labs more down that side, where we have gyms, we have pitches, artificial pitches there, we have a football stadium back there as well,
Okay.
along with beach volleyball. Once you make your way down into the university, you reach a point where it's called the Central Village, where there are many accommodations in the universities, primarily located in the village, right? Because it's a very it's an area that is packed with students. As you move more into the universities, you get lecture halls, right? You get Central Village lecture halls, and then you get the Union, you get the management buildings, and then more towards, I think it's the west side you go, then you get more accommodations. But then you start to see more sort of sports facilities, right? Because that's where the big grounds are. You got rugby grounds,
Right.
where Bucks happens, nationally. You've got 2 amazing sort of facilities for sports. You got power-based gyms, and then you also have sort of cricket field there, and you have one accommodation which is quite slightly isolated, is Butler Court and the Towers. So those are 2 which are like really far off anything else.
Okay, but it's a massive campus, right? So how long would it take for one to walk from one end to the other?
I do that during summer times because we go to play beach volleyball, right? I live in Towers, the very extreme ends, and this part is very extreme end. So it takes us about, say, 35 minutes to walk.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's quite massive.
That is big.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of TSS. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure of sharing it with other students and leave us a comment. Your feedback helps us continue to provide valuable content to students everywhere. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world around you. Thank you.